Today, the Jew nation under Benjamin Netanyahu is battling adversaries on 7 fronts. That is Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, West Bank, Iraq, Syria and Iran. But the principal adversary of Israel is Iran, which is using its terror proxies to attack Tel Aviv and in turn putting the entire Middle East to sword. Using its Quds Force covert operators, Iran built terror proxies in the region to attack Israel and in turn radicalize the entire Arab streets in the Islamic world. The Middle East is currently in flames, with Sunni powers like Saudi Arabia and UAE forced to watch on the sides, and United States no longer the guarantor of peace and security in the region. Today, Israelis are running out of safe and secure space, with missiles coming in from Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq and Iran. Even though the answer lies in the two-state solution, Iran wants to keep the pot on a permanent boil. Namaskar. It has been virtually a year that Hamas terrorist group took the Israeli massive security apparatus by total surprise and attacked across Gaza, killing 1,200 innocents, abducting another 251 as war booty by using medieval war instruments of rape, murder, arson, pillage and mayhem. Even now, as we speak, 101 Israelis are still in the custody of Hamas, with the possibility of only 66 being alive and time running out fast for them. Hundreds of Hamas combatants and innocents, including children, have died in lethal retaliation by Israel since then. And today, the Jew nation under Benjamin Netanyahu is battling adversaries on 7 fronts. That is Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, West Bank, Iraq, Syria and Iran. But the principal adversary of Israel is Iran, which is using its terror proxies to attack Tel Aviv and in turn putting the entire Middle East to sword. Using its high asymmetry of superior military power vis-a-vis Hamas and Hezbollah, Israel has been successful in reducing the Sunni terrorist army with proper command and control in Gaza to virtually a terror gang run by Yahya Sinwar after the elimination of Ismail Haniya in Tehran on July 31st. The military capabilities of the Shia terrorist group in Lebanon have been heavily degraded, with Israel successful in bringing down Hezbollah's command and control structures in the past 2 weeks through multiple attacks on communication networks and eliminating the top military commanders this week. The Middle East is currently in flames, with Sunni powers like Saudi Arabia and UAE forced to watch on the sides, and United States no longer the guarantor of peace and security in the region. The area and the world at large are sitting on a powder keg, waiting to explode on any trigger in West Asia. The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death, which has serious global security ramifications for the future. Prima facie, Iran is virtually 2,000 kilometers away from Israel, and the two countries had a certain amount of workable ties in the early 70s. But then the world went topsy-turvy, with 1979 turning out to be the watershed, with Shia Islamic revolution in Iran, siege of Mecca by Islamic terrorists, and the erstwhile Soviet Union occupying Afghanistan. The 3 milestone events radicalized the entire Islamic world to such a level that its consequences are still unfolding, with politicians weaponizing the religion to grab power. In order to consolidate power and gain legitimacy, the Ayatollahs of Iran decided to target US and Israel as an instrument of its broader ambition and standing in the Islamic world. Using its Quds Force covert operators, Iran built terror proxies in the region to attack Israel and in turn radicalize the entire Arab streets in the Islamic world. This systematic radicalization of the Arab world using political Islam has instigated Muslims all over the world and made them mere tools for the never-ending Iranian revolution. Other vested interests have joined the radical platform to suit their own interests and propagate their own narrative. Currently, all the non-state terror proxies of Iran are attacking Israel, carrying two hoods for the two-state solution and the legitimate voice for a Palestinian homeland. Hezbollah has crippled Lebanon and operates in Syria. Hamas has taken over Gaza. Kataib Hezbollah operates in Iraq. And Shia Houthi rebels are targeting international shipping in Red Sea and off the Gulf of Aden, with decimation of Israel as the main and principal objective. The voice of Arab moderates has been drowned by extremists, and the enlightened Sunni powers are mute spectators to the violence lest they incur the wrath of totally radicalized Arab streets. The matters have been made worse with the US no longer viewed as the licit power in the Middle East, Russia grappling with war in Ukraine, and China still to acquire the political and military heft to become a global arbitrator of peace. The UN, on the other hand, has been reduced to just a talk shop for political posturing with no muscle to enforce peace in any part of the world, what to talk of West Asia. While the retaliation of an outraged Israel against Hamas non-state combatants in Gaza was a justified answer to October 7 butchery, Netanyahu's war in Gaza lost legitimacy on the streets of Jerusalem with the reports of hundreds getting killed on the strip as collateral damage became public. The war-weary Israelis also started questioning the political leadership after IDF raids into West Bank as part of counter-terror operations after 1 year of maximum violence and mayhem. But then Iranian proxy Hezbollah stepped in by targeting Israeli cities with missiles as far as Haifa and Nazareth on the northern borders, resulting in evacuation of settled Jews in the region. The targeting of Israel by Iran with missiles and drones on April 13th and the constant attack by non-state players like Hezbollah and its allies in Syria have actually ended up restoring the legitimacy of Netanyahu as the Ayatollahs want to wipe out the Jew nation from the face of the earth. Today, Israelis are running out of safe and secure space with missiles coming in from Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq and Iran. The Jews have been left with no other options, as this is the question of their survival in the face of enemy like Iran and its deadly proxies who have standing armies and credible standoff weapons. Given the current bleak scenario, the conflagration in Middle East will remain simmering with neither Netanyahu or Hassan Nasrallah having the stomach for an all-out war. Hamas leadership has been decimated, but the radical ideology will not die, and the world will see terror attacks in future. There is no space left for moderates in Gaza. Peace could only be achieved on Israel's northern borders by truly implementing UN Resolution 1701, but no global power has the heft to enforce it by disarming Hezbollah and demilitarizing the Lebanon-Israel borders. With the present Biden administration involved in taking on Russia in Ukraine and President Vladimir Putin showing no signs of giving up on his military adventure, the global objective today is to contain the war in the Middle East and not pursue total peace. Sunni powers like Saudi Arabia and UAE have been forced to put the détente with Israel on a hold, as extremists on the Arab streets will otherwise bay for their blood. Even though the answer lies in the two-state solution, Iran wants to keep the pot on a permanent boil, and Israel wants more space to settle Jews coming permanently to the promised land. With Ayatollahs facing internal dissent and challenge from within, the Iranian leadership will use the war against Israel to distract its citizens from the massive economic problems within the Shia nation. Countries like Turkey and Qatar will use the war to settle their own personal scores in the Islamic world. And so will the politicians of ruling countries in the periphery of Middle East. China and the Middle European powers may back anti-Israel resolutions in the UN, but these have no meanings and none can enforce it or tell both Israel and Iran to back off. India, under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, can play a role, as this is the only country which can talk to Israel, Iran, Saudi Arabia, UAE, US, Russia to come up with a viable solution. Yesterday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi met Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas in New York to discuss the current issue. All in all, the Middle East is in an utter mess, with none having a viable solution of peace. And this is a sure recipe for a future disaster. Namaskar.